Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
If you can find your seats, please. Super, wonderful. Okay, good morning and Shabbat Shalom. I heard like 3 people over here. Let's try. I heard Scott Walsey. 1, 2, 3. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Good to see everybody. Scott, you park in your parking spot? You did. Okay, good. Friends, a couple things as we get started. Okay, I see everyone who we're missing one. So if you have a reading that you're doing, your reading was on that table, and you should take it on up. If you're going to be doing one of the readings as part of the service, you're going to come right over here to where I'm standing. Okay? This choir mic is great. It'll pick you right up, and you can look at our main man of the hour, okay? And you can look at him, and you can see him. You can give him like high fives and air high fives and that type of thing. If you have an aliyah, you will be coming on up, and that's great. We want you to come on up, okay? If you would like to be in the mask mechitza, we have a mask mechitza here. It's right over here. In other words, if you want to be in a mask-only section, you can sit right over there. That's the mask mechitza. You saw it here first, okay? So, other things to consider. Of course, a warm welcome to everybody. We're using the red sidurim, which are underneath your chairs. So if you want to reach down and pull out your red siddur, that's what we're going to be using. This is a highly participatory service. So, imagine that Jared is a mirror, and you all are a mirror, and the light that you have is going to get reflected back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between these two mirrors. The energy that we give him, he reflects back to us. Claps, snaps, taps, la-la-las. God understands la-la-las just fine. If you open up your prayer book to just about any page, you're going to see the Hebrew on the right, the English on the left, the transliteration in the middle. We want everyone to be able to participate in any way that you can and every way that you're comfortable. I'd ask that you silence your cell phones and your Apple Watches. Okay, Davis kids in the back. You're with us today, right? You have your red books, all of you. Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. If we have to leave quickly for any reason, exits, 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 exits. Does that sound good? Okay. And, of course, finally, some introductions. Everyone knows Jared. Hi, Jared.
Hey, Jared.
Okay. Cantor Lauren Adesnik, Rabbi Spike Anderson. Would everybody please turn to the people around you. Hey, my name is Shabbat Shalom. Nice to see you. Really, make a new friend. There's going to be a quiz at the end of all this. Good to see you, dude. How are you? Good to see you. Hi there. Hi, guys.
הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Join with us. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לי 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 לי. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לי 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 לי. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
So, Jared, what we're doing this morning is called a Rite of Passage, and we talked about this idea that over the next 90 minutes, you go from being a Jewish boy to a Jewish man before our very eyes. It's pretty awesome. So, there's all sorts of signposts along the way this morning of this Rite of Passage, this time where you're going to be leading us in prayer, which is a very big deal, and chanting from the Torah, and giving words of Torah, really a mini sermon. These are all signposts along the way of how you, before our eyes, become an adult, and with that get all sorts of privileges and responsibilities, like Spider-Man, right, that come with being a Jewish adult. One of the signposts along the way is your tallis, your talit. This is adult Jewish clothing. And according to our tradition, you're not allowed to publicly wear that before your bar mitzvah, meaning last month, last week, yesterday, even earlier this morning, because you're a boy. But now, as a sign of your entering into Jewish manhood before our eyes, how cool is that, right? You're going to get your adult Jewish clothing, your tallis. So to present you with your tallis is your grandpa, Lee Katz. Lee, if you'll come on up, okay? So Lee, this is what you're going to read right there. Yep, okay.
So, Jared, I am very pleased to be here to present you with your talit. Several years ago, my pop-up gave me my talit. Okay. As this talit is draped around your shoulders, may the voices of the generations speak to you. May you know there is a people, a rich heritage to which you belong, a sacred place from which you are connected to all who dwell on earth. As you are embraced in the folds of the talit, so too are you wrapped in the loving embrace of your family, community, friends, and the holy congregation. May this simplest of garments always be for you a simple, abiding, sheltering presence. As you recite the blessing and wrap yourself in the talit, we proudly watch you go through this passage that the rabbi just talked about and celebrate with you as you accept your place in the chain of our tradition.
Beautiful. Kaylee, you'll get the tallis ready. Jared, you're going to say the blessing over the tallis.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hidatech b'tzitzit.
And we all say,
Amen.
Okay, so
Rabbi,
your
will you switch that
arms go to
microphone?
the outside. There you go. Now, Lee, stand right here next to him, please. Friends, we know that communities come together for all sorts of reasons. Some of them sad. This one, super, super happy. So, Jared, as Grandpa adjusts the tallis around you, we Jews get ready to pray Shehechianu. Literally, thank you, God, for this moment in time, that we're here, that we're together. Hallelujah. May we have this type of simcha, this type of happiness, connection again and again and again. Page 5, please join us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. We sing amen.
Squeeze. All right. Okay, Jared, you're going to lead us on page 6 with an intention.
God be with me on this occasion of my bar mitzvah. Help me make meaningful the covenant you now establish with me. Sustain me with a sense of holiness. Inspire in me a desire to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve my problems, map out the directions of my life. I ask only that you strengthen within me a desire to mold and shape my life in accordance with your will. In this hour of my bar mitzvah, I invoke your blessings upon my parents and friends, and all who have loved and cared for me and have brought me to this time of gladness. Give them joy and fulfillment in my growth and my achievement. You who turn the hearts of children to their parents and the hearts of parents to their children.
Thanks, Jared.
Amen.
So in a moment, Jared's going to lead us with Nisim B'chol Yom, Daily Miracles on page 7. And the way that we typically do it here at Temple Emanu-El, he's going to lead us. We answer with an amen, but you'll see the English on the left. So my ask of each of you is to figure out which of these daily miracles has your name on it this morning. Each of these miracles is supposed to be both literal and figurative. So when we say, thank you, God, who opens up the eyes of the blind, we could be referring to medical technology that allows a blind person to see, but also figuratively, that sometimes it takes a miracle to have those around us who are blind to see, or maybe it's ourselves. Chances are I'm going to come by afterwards and ask you which one has your name on it and why, so really do pay attention. Page 7. Jared, whenever you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sachli vina lechavhin ben yom uven laila.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin metzadei gaver.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam honoten le'af koach.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir shenat me'enai udnuma me'af apai.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani b'tzelem Elohim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani ben horim.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shesani Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael begivorah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifarah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kichanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen. Okay, take a look back. Take a look and see which of those has your name on it this morning, which one is calling to you, and why. Someone want to start us off? Which one is calling to you and why this morning? Great. Thank you for starting us off. Tell us who you are.
I'm Ann Ron. I am doing Blessed Are You, the Eternal Our God, who makes firm each person's steps.
Why is that
And
speaking to you today?
recently I fractured my ankle, and
Okay.
I'm now wearing shoes and walking normally.
So
It's
there's
literal.
there's a literal one,
It's a
and also life gets hard sometimes, right? And sometimes we don't have the strength ourselves, so can we tap into something bigger to make firm our steps? Beautiful. Okay.
I'm Huron. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who has made me to be free. I am feeling very blessed that I live in this country,
Yeah.
and we have the freedoms that we have.
You bet. Just look at the rest of the world. We won the lottery by being born now and here. Absolutely. Others, yeah. Tell us who you are.
I'm Harvey Apple, and I picked Blessed Are You, our God, our eternal, our God, whose eyes give us strength to the weary.
And why is that speaking to you this morning?
Well, I've been through a few challenges, and many times in my life I've gotten weary of my life, and I've gotten beyond it, I think.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. Friends, someone to share. Robert Colbert?
In keeping with the Torah portion for these 2 weeks, blessed are you, the eternal who has made me in the image of God. The idea of holiness, of action, being holy.
Yeah, beautiful. That we're each created B'Tselem Elohim in the image of God. And if we remember that we have a little piece of God inside us, Jews, non-Jews, everybody, how different would that make the way we approach one another and see ourselves and use our time if we really remember that we were created in the image of God, B'Tselem Elohim. Any others? Okay, great. Oh, wait. Microphone. Tell us who you are.
Rhonda Lee. It's between two, so I'll say, blessed are you, the eternal our God, whose power lifts up the fallen. It makes me feel a lot of empathy for the Ukrainians, and my heart is broken over what's going on there.
Yeah, and sometimes a prayer like that exactly does that. It helps us reach out and connect to others and feel a sense of mass empathy. And then hopefully there's something that maybe comes of that. Okay. Young man. Love it. Tell us who you are.
I'm David Katz, Jared's cousin.
Okay, great. Which one do you like this morning? Yeah.
Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with the words of Torah, because it makes you like a better Jew and just to be like a better Jew in general.
Yeah, so the study of Torah leads to all sorts of things. Our thoughts, our intentions, our actions, how we relate to other people. It's the source. What a great way to conclude that one. Awesome. Okay, Jared, you're going to continue on page 13. And page 13, may the door is a responsive prayer, which means that Jared leads us, and then where it says italics, we all join in. Okay, Jared? Whenever you're ready.
May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for fellowship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit indifference, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We rise for Baruch Hu, page 15. Jared, in a minute you're going to lead us on page 15 with Yotzer Or, our Yotzer Or prayer. And Jared, this prayer essentially praises God for having done creation, made creation altogether, that we're here at all, which is worth praising, but it's a very hard thing to get our head around, right? As opposed to taking it a little bit more personally. So thanking God that every morning that you wake up, that you've got a chance to create anew who you are, what you stand for, how you act, how you relate, creating yourself, recreating the home around you, and expanding concentric circles, the world around you. It's a great empowering gift, this Judaism, expressed in Yotzer Or. Would you lead us?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer Or uberech hoshech, oseh shalom uberech et hakol. Chameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha brahamim. Uvtuvo mehadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh reishit. Ma rabu ma'aseh Adonai kulam b'chochma asida. Malah ha'aretz kinyanecha titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha ve'al me'oreh or shasita yefarucha selah or hadash al sion tamir Tizkeh kulanu. Mechayreim la'oro baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'me'oro.
Beautiful. And on page 16, we got our Ahava Rabbah prayer about God's abundant love. Now, Jen and Sam, you've got 3 amazing kids, right? They're not the same, though. Each one is very different. And your love for each of them is immense, eternal, infinite. So the love that you have for one doesn't at all impact the love that you have for the other. There's more than enough of your love to go around for your 3 guys. And Jared, that's the thought behind God's love as well, that God has immense love for each of us, all of us, and that we each have our own special, unique relationship with God. This prayer reminds us that we're in that particular space. Can we do this one together on page 16?
Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola Vitera Chamalta Aleinu Ba'avur Avotenu Ve'imotenu Shabbat Vecha Vatlamdem Chukei Chaim Kein Tichonenu Utlamdenu Hamrechem Rachem Aleinu V'tein Belibenu Lehavin ulehaskil, lishmoa, lilmod, ulelamed, lishmor v'laasot ulkayim, et kol divrei Talmud Torah techa be'ahava. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
And we find our feet on the floor, hands over our eyes, get ready for our Shema, page 18.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
We can be seated. Jared, on page 18 in a moment, you'll lead us with V'ahavta, which is the second part of the Shema. And that Shema and V'ahavta are written on the scroll that goes inside the mezuzahs that are on our doors. So most of the mezuzahs that you have, especially if they've been checked, are going to have that scroll inside it. The mezuzah is supposed to remind us, right, with that V'ahavta prayer, that there is a best self that we have, our most aspirational self, when we can be the most God-oriented, the most sort of Jewish mindful. And that time, according to the V'ahavta, is when we're standing up and laying down, when we're on the way, including when we're in our home. And so we're to bind those on the doorposts of our house. That's the mezuzah. It's at ayish level, so that when we walk in, we're reminded that we're going into the most sacred space in Judaism, the home. Most of us, many of us, have sort of an inside persona and an outside persona. And what we often find is that the outside persona is actually better than the inside persona, meaning that we take for granted the people and the space and the atmosphere that's in our house, and sometimes sort of bring what I call the spit sip of ourselves home, right? Exhausted from a day, from school, from sports. So the mezuzah is a reminder that as we walk into our home, we're actually supposed to bring our best selves to the people who love us most and who love us most. V'ahavta can be found on page 18.
Ve'ahavta
Et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom levavecha v'shinartam v'valecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha
ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני
אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
To lead us in our responsive prayer on page 19, calling up grandmother and Uncle Maxine Glass and Brett Handelman. If you'll come on up. And you're going to right to the choir mic right there. Right to that choir mic, and that way you can look at Jared. And so this is responsive again. So you two will lead, and then in the italics we'll all join in. Together, you are in the courage with which we overcame 40 years of desert wandering.
Even today, you're in the hope that, like a beam of light, brightens the darkness of suffering and despair.
You hope that creates, protects, forgives.
Standing at the sea, we felt your goodness and your love, and we sang a new song to you. And still, today, we sing that song.
We praise you, Adonai, Redeemer of Israel. Page 20, Mi Chamocha.
So for this one, especially since we are just coming out of the heels of Pesach into our freedom, we need your energy. So I'm going to invite you all to clap along with the beat just like this. Here we go. There we go. Keep it going. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edor b'kodesh. Norati hilot osefele, norati hilot osefele. Yai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Tzur Yisrael,
Please rise.
Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, Uv'dechin umecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go'alenu Adonai tzevaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael.
As we get ready for our Amidah on page 21, Jared, this is where we are supposed to enter into our private conversation with the divine. And we're not coming into this conversation with as like a cold call. We're coming in reminding ourselves and God that we have what's called yichus, a connection, okay? That there's a knowledge of your parents and your grandparents and great-grandparents before you, and so you're coming into this conversation well-known and well-loved, all of us. Page 21, we have our Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agitei latecha.
Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei Hakol, Mezocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geulah Livnei Bneihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid hatah,
Mechochel Chaim b'chesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asorim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Bichamocha b'gevurot, Umidor melech, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Leading us in our responsive prayer on page 23, Aunt and Uncle Erica and Randall Katz.
Nice and close to the mic. There you go.
There is holiness when we strive to be true to the best we know. There is holiness when we strive for harmony in all of our relationships. There's holiness when people seek justice and struggle for righteousness. There's holiness when we forget what divides us and remember what unites us. Kedusha, page 24.
Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto v'yishmim arom, kakatuv ayad nevi'echa, v'kara ze el ze ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz, kevodo. Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu, Madir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai, Nimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu v'Hu Yashmienu, Berachamav v'nei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Imloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Zion, Ledor v'dor. Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador, Nagid God lecha mimenu. Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador, Nagid God lecha. Ulenetzach netzachim, Kedushatecha nakdish, Kedushatecha nakdish. V'shifacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush, lo yamush le'olam va'ed. Here comes your part. Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador, Nagid God lecha. Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador,
Ledor vador, Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
Ha'el HaKadosh.
Amen. Please be seated. Jared, will you lead us on page 25 responsively?
From
Sorry, on page 27.
25.
25. 25.
From of old, the Jewish people have seen Shabbat as a unique gift, a token of its covenant with God.
Shabbat
God
is the most cherished creation of the Jewish spirit. It mirrors the essence of the Jewish soul.
Shabbat has never been merely a day of rest from labor. It has always been a break in the routine of everyday life.
Shabbat is the symbol of liberation and triumph, of the holy over the profane, of spirit over matter.
In every age, Shabbat afforded the Jew a sacred retreat, a haven of safety, a fountain of new strength and perpetual renewal.
Shabbat nurtures family life in love and harmony. A home at peace welcomes Shabbat with joy.
Shabbat is part of nature's design, the very purpose of creation. All that was created attained its fulfillment in Shabbat.
Shabbat is our hope, the calm haven where all the weary find rest. With the coming of Shabbat, redemption and peace enter the world. Yismechu 26.
Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat. Mekadosheh Shvi Shabbat, Kulam Yismehu, Yitangum Juvecha Shabbat.
Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat. V'chashvi ratzita bo v'kidasho Shabbat, chemdat yamim, oto karata Shabbat. Here we go. Yismechu
v'malchutecha,
Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat.
You sound so beautiful.
Yismechu
v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat. Zecher, 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 l'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher l'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat. Yismechu v'malchutecha, Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei, Odei Shabbat.
Jared, will you lead us on page, actually, we're going to call up your grandparents. We're going to call up Suzanne Katz-Karlik and Philip Karlik to lead us on page 27 responsively.
Our world is full of wonders and miracles, but all it takes is one little hand placed before our eyes, and we see nothing.
But miracles are all around us and within us. We are each walking miracles.
What miracle infuse us? When we see beauty, what miracle elevates us? When we hear music, what miracle moves us?
When we see suffering, what miracle saddens us? When we give and receive love, what miracle warms us? When we pray, what miracle renews us?
Every springtime is a miracle. Every snowflake is a miracle. The thoughts we think, the words we speak, the hopes we cherish, each
all these miracles, may your name be exalted and blessed forever and ever. And on page 28, we're going to ask your brothers, Logan and Ethan, to come on up to lead us.
You can move it down. There you go.
Our God, we know there is no greater gift than peace. Help us to find the peace that comes from the love of your Torah.
Inspire us to banish hatred, war, bloodshed, and bigotry. Help us to establish forever one human family, doing your will in love and peace.
Help us to find peace in ourselves and among all people. O God of peace, bless us with peace.
You have given us the power, O God, to bring peace and justice into the world. May we always love peace and pursue it, and love our fellow creatures. Fill us with kindness, wisdom, and love. Then shall we learn to live in peace. Blessed is God, teacher of peace. Page 28, Sim Shalom.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha, sim, shalom, we sing, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha, one last time, sim, 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 shalom. Now you sim,
Sim, sim, shalom,
sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uveracha.
We invite you to take a moment or two for silent reflection, prayer, meditation, communion. What do you hear in that silence with the divine?
יהיו לרצון אמרפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. May the words of my mouth and meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. יהיו לרצון אמרפי, והגיון ליבי לפניך. Adonai Turi, Adonai Turi, Begoali. Try it with me. Iyu lerato imrefi, Begion libi lifanecha. Adonai Turi, Adonai Turi, Begoali. Iyu leratzon, imrefi vegion libi lefanecha. Adonai
invite your parents, Sam and Jen, to come on up as they get ready to offer you the parents' blessing that we can find on page 31. Sam and Jen, these words are a mashup, an amalgamation, mostly lifted from Talmud, and that those rabbis, those sages, aside from being so wise and spiritual, are also parents. Will you take their words and give them to your son on this sacred day?
May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be.
May your heart be filled with intuition and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue and your vision be on a straight path before you.
May your eyes shine with the light of holy words and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom and your fulfillment be in righteousness.
A Jewish home opens its heart and it links to generations is proclaimed. Today our child, nearly grown, is called to read from the Torah and is welcomed into the congregation.
May this moment be blessed.
Hug, hug, kiss, kiss. Beautiful. Friends, stay up here, parents. We continue with our Torah service on page 32, so we're going to invite up Maxine Glass and Brett Handelman for the ark opening, to undress the Torah, Suzanne Katz-Karlik and Philip Karlik. I'm going to invite all the grandparents to come on up. Please, everyone, rise. Page 32.
At the top. Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai ve'en k'ma'asecha malchutecha malchut kol amim u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz li'amoitem Adonai varech et amo v'shalom Av harachamim heitiv avirtzonecha et Zion Tivne chomot Yerushalayim Tivne chomot Yerushalayim Kivecha levad batachnu Melech Eram v'nisa Adon olamim Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah Udvar Adonai mirushalayim Baruch shenatan Torah Torah Baruch shenatan Torah Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato.
Jared, how you doing? Good. I want you to take a moment, and I want you to really look out at all these folks here who love you and support you in this moment. Give them a wave. Give him a wave as his eyes meet yours. These are your people. This is your crew, right? In all seriousness, this is an incredible moment, right? Because here you are, and all these folks are here because they love you and want to celebrate with you and your family. You and the Torah have something profound in common, and that is that you are both here, you and the Torah, because of the decisions that came from the generations before you. If they had made different decisions, the Torah might not be here, and you might not be here. So take a look behind you. I want you to see your parents and grandparents, missing grandparent, and behind Grandpa Ali, I want you to see your great-grandparents and your great-great-great-grandparents and great-great-great. So we believe that they're here, that the Jewish generations are wrapping themselves again and again and again in this sanctuary. We believe that they're here and that they're smiling because of what you're doing, because of what we're doing. And that is taking on this amazing thing called Torah, becoming an adult in the Jewish people and culture and religion, and taking your place in this long line of Lador Vador, family, tradition, chained links. Incredible. So now, symbolically, we pass Torah down through the generations, so everybody can give it a little squeeze if you like. Okay, to your mom. Okay, we're actually passing Torah to Dad. You got it? Okay, now I want you to face Dad so he doesn't hurt his back. There you go. Right there. So you're going to put Torah right to his shoulder. Okay. And Jared, tell us when you got it. Okay, and we can turn and face everybody.
Alrighty, page 33. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh. Shema, we face the ark. Gadol Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachtav. Torah undressers, come on over next to me. Lecha Adonai hagedula, v'hagevura, v'hatiferet, v'hanetzach, v'hahod. Ki hu b'shamayim uvaretz, ki hu b'shamayim uvaretz. Lecha Adonai hamelacha, v'hamid naseh l'chol rosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Romemu, repeat after me. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
Please be seated. So, Jared is going to be chanting from Parsha Acharei Mot. If you care to follow it in your plouts under your seats, you'll find it on page 875. Raise your hand if this is your first bar bat mitzvah, besides Lee Katz. All right. 10, raise your hand if you've been to 10. 100? More than 100? Okay. Here's what I don't want you to forget. What Jared's about to do is hard. It takes tremendous focus, tremendous study to be able to read in the original without the vowels and without the cantillation, the musical notes, to be able to understand it, to lift his voice up and to share it is a very, very big deal. Jared's first aliyah, which is on chapter 17, translates as, Adonai spoke to Moses saying, speak to Aaron and his sons and to all the Israelite people and say to them, this is what Adonai has commanded. If anyone of the house of Israel slaughters an ox or sheep or goat in the camp, or does so outside of the camp. We will continue with our aliyot and our chanting.
For our first aliyah, we call Bima. Jay and Amy Handelman. Ya'amdu Yosef Baruch ben Gedalia v'Chaya Reza Hanavat Yaakov la'aliyah Torah.
Right over here with me. Take your seat. Touch and kiss. Blessings right there. Here's a microphone.
Baruch es Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher borcha bonu michol harmim v'nosang lanu es toraso. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. All right, Jay.
Amen. Davar Aharon ve'el banav ve'el kol bnei Israel ve'amarta alehem zeh hadavar asher tziva Adonai lemor ish mi be'Israel asher ishchat shor o chesef o es b'machaneh O asher yishchad mihutz lemachaneh.
Yasher koach. Beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nosam lanu toras emes v'chayei olam natan b'tzorkenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. For our second aliyah, you're going to give hugs and kisses to Jared. For our second aliyah, before we hear the translation, you're already ready to go. I love it. We call up to the bima Lee and Arlene Katz. Ya'amdu Yisrael ben Baruch ve'Yehavahenya Hanafeg bat Hershel la'aliyah Torah.
Baruch et Adonai HaBarach. Baruch et Adonai Baruch Olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher borcha banu mikol amim v'naslanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'el petach ochel moed lo chavi'u lehakriv korban l'Adonai lifnei mishkan Adonai dam yehashev la'ish hachu dam shafach v'nichrat ha'ish hachu mikerev amo Lema'an asher yavi'u b'nei Yisrael et zivhehem asher hem zovechim al pnei hasadeh v'hevi'um l'Adonai el petach ochel moed el hakohen v'zabehu zivhei Shlamim l'Adonai otam Vezarak hakohen et adam al mizbach Adonai petach ohel moed vehitir hachelev lereach nihoach la'Adonai.
Yasher koach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam netach b'tzorkenu. Baruch atah Adonai nosein haTorah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses. Beautiful.
stand right up.
Lee and Arlene, you're going to hang out right up here. And it is time to call very proud Mom, Dad, and older brother, Jen, Sam, and Logan, up to the bima. Ya Amdu, Golda Torah bat Yosef Mendel, Shlomo Eliyahu ben Yisrael v'Shoshana, Levi Chaim ben Shlomo v'Golda, La Aliyah la Torah.
Get nice and close.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. Velo yizbechu od et zivhehem, la'se'irim, asher hem zonim acharehem, hukat olam, techyezot lahem ledorotam. V'alehem tomar, ish ish mibei Yisrael, umin hager asher yagur betocham, asher ya'ale ola ozavach. Ve'el petach ochel moed lo yevienu, lasot oto ladonai, v'nichra ta'ishachu me'amav.
Beautiful.
All right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Hugs and kisses. You may be seated.
You guys just hang out right up here with us.
Rabbi's going to give some direction. Nope. Okay. Jared, I'm going to ask you to have a seat just for a moment. Okay, so why are you sitting down before your last Aliyah? Here's why, okay? So it can be a little jarring, right? Like we're reading, we're chanting, we're in the moment. We're hearing these amazing words of Torah that have been chanted for thousands and thousands of years. Why are we stopping? We are stopping, Jared, because you are about to officially become a bar mitzvah. So the moment, Jared, that you stand up and you walk over to the Torah, you make the blessing, you chant your Aliyah, you make the following blessing, all of that. When that is done, you have just transitioned from young boy, from awesome Jared Katz, fabulous kid, into fabulous young adult, an active Jewish member, an active participant in your community. So that's that instant change and that longer transition. And so you're going to demonstrate that Aliyat HaTorah for us in just a moment. And what is this Aliyat HaTorah? It literally means that you are ascending to the Torah, but you are really, Jared, ascending into your Judaism in a higher and deeper way, both in terms of your Jewish spirituality, your connection to your family, your history, and your peoplehood. And in doing so, Jared, you also elevate all of us. You help us to connect in that deeper and broader way to God, to Judaism, to our history, our heritage, and all our peoplehood. So it is my honor to call you up officially as a bar mitzvah. Yamad habachor habar mitzvah, Eli Chaim ben Shlomo v'Golda, la'aliyah laTorah.
Over here for our blessing.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Ve'ish Shmi Beit Yisrael Umin Hager Hagar Betocham Asher Yoha Kodam Venatati Fanai Vanefesh Hohelet Et Hadam Vihichrati Ota Mikerev Ama Ki Nefesh Habathar Badam Hi Va'ani Netati Lachem HaMizbeach Lechaper Anavshatehem Ki Hadam Hu Vanefesh Yechaper Al Kain Amarti Livnei Israel Kol Nefesh Mikem Lo Tochal Dam V'chager Hagar Betochem Lo Yohodam.
Yasher Koah.
Take your seat, see? Touching kiss right there. Okay, come right over here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natah b'tohenu Baruch atah Adonai notena Torah.
Amen. Beautiful. Family, come right next to him, and I want you to flank him. Okay, hand on the shoulder. I'm ask everyone to rise, please. Jared, before the open Torah, with your community standing in respect for it and you, we give you a special Misha Barach blessing, and this one is for your continued spiritual growth. The hope is that this day and these moments are a spiritual cornerstone for you, somewhere you can always find your way back to. Come on up. Hustle, hustle, hustle. That you can find your way back to, but also one that you can push off from. Okay? So we'll do it in Hebrew and then in English. Misha Barach Avotenu Vimotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yavarech Et Elichaim ben Shlomo v'Golda Shehagia lemitzvot le'alta leTorah HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yismei Rehu v'Chayehu v'Chanon Et Libo Liot Shalem Im Adonai Elohav Legot b'Torato le'lecha b'drachav Lishmor mitzvotav v'yimsei chen v'seichel tov B'nei Elohim v'Adam v'Nomar
Amen.
May God, who blessed the ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Jared, who's come up for an aliyah upon the age of mitzvot. May the Holy One guard you and sustain you, helping you to be wholehearted in your faith, studying God's Torah, walking in God's ways, and fulfilling God's mitzvot. May you find favor before God and all people. And we say, Amen. We stay standing for Hagban Galila, the rising and dressing of Torah. I'm going to invite up Carol and Jeff Abrams and Rachel Abrams to dress the Torah. We are on page
Come this way.
36.
Page 36. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 Let's sing that one more time together. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la.
Please be seated. Parents, you can be seated too. Yep. So, Jared, you're going to be chanting Ezekiel for your Haftarah. But why don't we do Davar Torah first?
I think so.
Okay. So here's your Davar Torah. Now, the Davar Torah is your study, your expression. It's your deep study of the Torah that you've been looking at for a long time, and the idea is that you take the light that's you, and it goes to a particular diamond that's you. And what you come up with is something that is uniquely yours. So will you share your words of wisdom with us?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We're
No,
coming.
no,
We're
yeah,
coming.
Test.
Hang on a minute.
Test.
Try it now. There you go.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom. My Torah portion is Acharei Mot from the book of Leviticus. My Torah portion starts when Aaron cannot come into the shrine because of what his sons did. His sons went too close to the shrine without the proper preparations to enter. Aaron is only let in if he gives an offering to God. The offering is very complex and must be done in a specific way. God says that Aaron must bring 2 goats to be sacrificed. One shall be slaughtered and placed at the altar. The other goat is a special goat. Aaron is to place his hands on its head and confess all of the sins that the Israelites have done. This goat is called the scapegoat. The goat then runs into the woods where it dies along with the sins of the people. Next, God says that a law is now in place that not just Aaron, but all of the Israelites must fast and not think about their own needs at all, once every year on the 10th day of the 7th month. This day is known as Yom Kippur. This fast is done to tell God that we are sorry for our actions we have committed in the past. We are asking God to forgive us and to accept us. Lastly, God tells the Israelites how to not copy the practices of the land of Egypt and how to have their own civil laws. God is saying that we need to be different from our corrupt past. I think this means that we should strive for change in the world. My portion is important to me because I think everyone deserves a second chance. In my portion, God is giving all people forgiveness. This is ironic because in the portion before this, God killed Aaron's sons for not following his law once. They didn't get a second chance or even a chance to ask for forgiveness. At this moment, God is making what myself, as well as many others, would call a mistake. We're told that God doesn't make mistakes, but why would he be killing Aaron's sons for a mistake that seemed non-intentional? I think that there must be a reason that God chose to punish them with death. Maybe we aren't seeing the bigger picture. Behind the words written in the Torah, they could have done something inhumane or terrible that deserves harsh punishment. Even though God did something wrong, the Israelites still forgave him. If God normally gives the Israelites forgiveness, then they should return the favor to him. Everyone makes mistakes, and we should be given a chance to repent. Although God did something that we may never understand why he did it, we should still forgive him. I think my portion matters to the world because my portion mentions scapegoating, which although it happens in a different way than in the Torah, it still happens in our world today. One way our world is experiencing scapegoating is with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Russia is scapegoating Ukraine by blaming the war on them. They are saying that the land is theirs, and Ukraine is only interfering. The reason Russia believes this is because they are not willing to accept change. This change of Ukraine becoming independent happened over 30 years ago. This also relates to my Torah portion because in it, God tells the Israelites not to copy the laws of Egypt. This means that we, the Israelites, should have our own independent religion, just like how Ukraine has its own independent country. New chances and change are great, and they should keep happening in the world today, so everything can be peaceful. An example of change happening for good is changing your underwear. I'm just kidding. A good example of change happening is the Reform movement. Being a part of Reform Judaism allows us to still feel connected to Judaism while having an aspect of modern life in it. This means that we don't have to do everything that biblical time Jews did. For example, at my Reformed Jewish day school, we celebrate Shabbat before sundown. Just because we don't do things exactly like the Torah says doesn't mean we aren't Jewish. Change is good. Without change, I would not be making the transition from a kid to a Jewish adult. Becoming a bar mitzvah means that I am now in control of my religious freedom. I can choose if I want to be Reform, Orthodox, or anything in between. I get to choose if I want to fast or not, or if I want to do something else. I also will choose to learn more about my Jewish homeland by traveling to Israel in 8th grade. I now have the responsibility to make my own choices involving Judaism. This process of becoming a bar mitzvah was very meaningful. Although I've slowly been becoming a bar mitzvah over the past 13 years, these last 6 months were by far the most connected to God I felt. Judaism will continue to play an active role in my life by guiding me to make the right choices and to help others make the right choices. I will also continue to follow all of my family's important values. One of my family's important values is lev tefisah, or to have a perceptive heart. Having a perceptive heart means to listen to your heart when making decisions so you will do what is right. When you do a good deed or are kind to someone, it should honestly come from your heart. For your acts to be meaningful, you must put your heart into it. A way I can have a perceptive heart is by showing empathy. By showing empathy, you are using your heart to do what's right. I hope that as a bar mitzvah, I will embrace this value to a greater scale. One way I have already demonstrated this value is with my mitzvah project. For my mitzvah project, I collected various items, including towels, dog toys, blankets, leashes, and collars, from my friends and family needed at the Atlanta Humane Society. Together, we collected over 200 items. I plan to donate these items on May 7th. When my mom and I went to the Humane Society, I noticed that the animals were so happy to have visitors. I played with the animals, and it made me feel good that I could bring joy to them. When I go back to donate, I will play with the animals again and show them love like I would with my own dog, Callie. Shout out. I chose to do this as my mitzvah project because I love animals. Any of my friends would tell you that when I go to their house, the first thing I do is pet their dog. I hope these animals will find new homes very soon. It's so important to be surrounded by people who love you, and I want to thank everyone who loves and supports me. Thank you to everyone who came here to watch me officially become a bar mitzvah. I'm truly grateful for each and every one of you. Many people have helped me prepare for my special day. Thank you to Rabbi Spike, Rabbi Max, Cantor Desnick, and my tutor Joanne Lipschutz for helping me the entire way. I could not have done it without you. Thank you to my amazing grandparents for being such a special part of my life. Grandma Max, Pop-Pop and Bubby, Grandpa Jay and Grandma Amy, and Susan Phillip, there you are. I can find you. I feel so lucky to share this day with all of you. Mom, thank you for being my Uber driver and taking me anywhere I want to go. Thanks for getting me to do my bar mitzvah work even though I procrastinated. Thank you for organizing all of this because I know how much work you put into it. I love going on trips with you and riding all the roller coasters even though you scream the whole time. You were always there for me whenever I need you, and I love you. Dad, thank you for also always being there for me when I need you. You support everything I do, and I love you. We love to laugh about jokes that Mom doesn't want me to hear. Sorry, Mom. I love going to the early morning car shows with you. Even though they're super early, I love waking up for it because it's always so much fun with you. Ethan, thank you for always being so calm and collected. You never complain. You always just sit there so quietly. Okay, jokes aside, Ethan, you're wild. You never run out of energy, and I don't know how. I love playing games with you, like basketball, hide and seek, and all the other games we make up together. Even though you annoy me sometimes, you are funny, and I do love you. Logan, throughout my life, you've been my best friend, and I know you always will be. I love playing games with you, and no matter how crazy I get, somehow you manage to put up with me. I love listening to your concerts when you have no idea that I'm listening. Now that you can drive, I can't wait for the adventures ahead. I love you. Thank you to all my friends for being here to support me as well. Yes, that's you. Okay. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Beautiful. So I don't think that there's a doubt that we just heard from a young man, right, who had something real to say. Jared, it takes a lot of guts and chutzpah and confidence in yourself and your community to give a Davar Torah where you forgive God for a mistake. And I love that we're part of a community and we're part of a religious tradition that allows us to do that, to question, right? To demand the same standards of everyone, even the divine, that we hold to ourselves. It's a very big deal. Friends, we're going to continue with our Haftorah, which you'll find on page 36 and 37, the blessings. If you want to follow along in your plout on page 998, Jared, you're going to be chanting from Ezekiel, one of our most wild prophets, maybe as wild as little Ethan, right? Who does not hold back with his demand that we hold ourselves to the standards that we say we do. He doesn't give us a lot of leeway or gray area, but in doing so, we remind ourselves that we have an aspirational best self as individuals and as a people. Whenever you're ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nviim tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem hane'emarim ba'emet
Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'eh ha'emet v'tzedek v'nichalt bach le'enei go'im ve'adat ki ani Adonai Vayehi Davar Adonai Eli Lemor Ben Adam Hayuli Veit Yisrael Lasig Kulam Nehoshe Uvdil Uvarzel Ve'uferet Betoch Kur Sigim Kesev Hayu Lahen Ko Amar Adonai Elohim Ya'an Heyot Kulahem Lasigim Lahen Hineni Kovetz Ethem El Toch Yerushalayim.
Beautiful. Page 37, blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Sor kol ha'olamim Tzadik v'ho hadorot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Ha'omer ve'oseh Ha'medaber mekayem Shekol devarav Emet v'tzedek Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ha'nevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdosha ve'limnoha Likavod Ultifaret Al Hakol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu Modim Lach Umevarhim Otach Yitbarach Shimha Befigohai Tamid Leolam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shema.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
I'd like to rise everybody up for page 39, Eitz Chaim, inviting up cousins David, Jason, and Ryan Katz, as well as brothers Logan and Ethan Katz. Come on up to open the ark.
Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomechecha meushar derachecha darchenu am v'chol netivotecha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu kekedesh.
Close the ark. Please be seated. Come on up here with us, Jared. You stand right here. So, Jared, Cantor and I have said it before, but of all the things we get to do as clergy here at Emanu-El, what we've been doing with you the last many months is our most favorite thing, which is getting to know you at a deep level and studying Torah Lishma, study for the sake of higher thinking, higher purpose. I'll start by just saying a word or two about your family in general. Your family, from parents and grandparents and all around, very involved with the Jewish community, cares very deeply, teaching within the Jewish community, supporting the Jewish community, helping the Jewish community figure out what it needs to do to move from where we are to where we need to be. And not just one time, but over and over and over again, you are in a ripe ecosystem of caring about Jews and Judaism within your family, and that is a gift. It's said that you can learn a lot about somebody by watching how they play basketball. And having watched you play many times, I think we can tell a lot about you by how you approach the game. You're rarely the largest person on the court, but you're the leader, or at least one of the leaders. And I see how you make sure that everybody on your team, when you're playing, not only gets the ball, but brings out the best of who they are. Doc Rivers, great coach, said that every one of us should be a superstar in our role. And you are very good at helping people make the most of their role. I've seen you lead. I've seen you lead when your team is very down. I see how that you refuse to give up. Relentless, perseverance, laying yourself out when you need to, making sure that you and yours can do everything that you can to win, but also having fun while you're doing it. I think that these qualities probably explain who you are as a person. Someone who may not be the loudest person in the room, but people look to for respect and as a leader. Someone who has a fierce loyalty to the people closest to you, your friends, your family, your community, who does your very best with the skills that you have to move the proverbial ball down the court, and doing it while we have fun, making sure that what is important in life is raised up, and also that you make those aware around you that you are there for them if you need it. To be able to give a Davar Torah like you did, with that type of poise and strength and grace, bringing in Russia and Ukraine, questioning God's motives and judgments, and then forgiving God, is a wonderful Jewish quality that says that we will speak truth to power, even to the divine, that we're going to hold everyone, even God, to the standards we set for ourselves, and that we are going to do our best hand to hand to go down the court together towards the win that we're going to get. So maybe I've exhausted the metaphor a little bit, but you get the point. We are very proud of you. You are emerging as a real leader within our community, and such a mensch, such a good dude, and we really appreciate you for who you are.
Jared, I've just been so impressed and amazed as you led us this morning, and you really did lead us. You are a mensch because you have imbued all of the amazing qualities that your family has raised you with. And what I've noticed over time, and particularly this morning, are a deep sense of calm and cool confidence, a sense of wisdom, a sense of true connection to Judaism and the divine. But not only that, you have this amazing sense of connection to your family. And right planted within that, you have this astounding wit and humor. And you sneak it in ever so subtly. And I really, really love that and appreciate that, and I think everybody here does, because you know when it's time to be serious, and your sense of calm confidence brings everyone along with you, and then you share that wit and the humor that just brings a little bit of lightness, and it helps us to connect to you even more. So there's that sense of openness and vulnerability that you have shared with us so beautifully today. And so my blessing for you, Jared, is just that you keep cultivating all of those attributes, that you keep moving forward as this amazing, connected, menschy kid who at his core has family and heart and soul in God and Judaism. Mazel tov. I am so very, very proud of you.
So we will rise, everyone, please. Come nice and close to Cantor as we impart to you the priestly benediction, what we've been doing with our youth at this type of moment in time since time began as we know it.
Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you keep you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's countenance shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May God's face turn towards you, Jared, and grant you the greatest gift of all, which you have right now. Feet on the ground, surrounded by family and love, Torahs to one side, your two homes around you, Ner Tamid above you, surrounded by love and support, a sense of wholeness and opportunity and peace. And we say,
Amen.
Please be seated unless you are Jared's parents, and then come on up.
Jared, standing up here today in the exact spot where I became a bar mitzvah 32 years ago. Someone's old. Okay, watching you do the same, it's just a special and incredible feeling. A true example of Lador Vador that fills us with joy and pride. As you become a Jewish adult, we are confident that you will continue to pass on our family traditions and values and be an asset to our Jewish community. Today marks a milestone in your life that you worked hard to accomplish, and it really shows. We knew you would do an amazing job, and it's not just because you're such a bright student, but because you always put your heart into everything you do, always strive to do the best. You are and have always been wise beyond your years, constantly surprising us with your intelligence and ability to listen, learn, and take it all in. We'll never forget when you were only 3 and Mom got a notification that somebody bought some Skylanders on eBay. We immediately went to 6-year-old Logan, who said it wasn't him. We said, "Jared, was it you?" And you responded, "When's it coming in the mail?" You then proceeded to teach yourself how to operate the Wii controllers for both players in a 2-player game, so you could play alone while you waited for Logan to get home. Your math brain has always been busy calculating something, solving Rubik's Cubes, mastering video games, and analyzing sports statistics. Now calculating the Nike market and becoming an entrepreneur. Jared, we have no doubt that your intelligence combined with your motivation to succeed will take you far in life. You have always been super active and strong since you were very little. Climbing the stairs at 6 months old, doing flips on the monkey bars, riding a bike early, and running really, 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 really fast. As you got older and you took that energy to the field and court and have become a strong athlete, we always love watching you play sports as you give it your all. But what we love the most is what a dedicated team player you are. A few years ago, you received the Sherry and Harry Major Sportsmanship Award at the JCC for exhibiting respect, leadership, and honesty in your sports. We are so happy that these qualities we see in you are also recognized in our community. Recently, one of your coaches said it the best: "I wish I had 5 Jareds on my team." To us, you are the definition of an MVP.
Jared, Dad mentioned so many wonderful qualities that we love about you, but what we admire the most is your heart. Since you were little, you have always been the sweetest, most kind and caring soul with the biggest heart. An old soul. You have always had a mature outlook on life and an appreciation for life's blessings. You understand what is important and what is right. Your big heart has led you to become a true mensch, a role model who continuously makes good choices and inspires others to follow your lead, a sincere and loyal friend and brother, demonstrating kindness at every turn. It fills us with pride that throughout your childhood we have heard stories of how you have gone out of your way to help friends. Whether you helped a friend who was feeling nervous or scared to feel better, stood up for someone who needed support, or sat with someone who was sitting alone. It's all these little things you do that make such a big difference for others. This gift you have of showing kindness and empathy to everyone, including animals, is admirable. This is what makes you stand out among the rest. This is why everyone loves and respects you. And this is the reason we are so incredibly proud of you. Jared, you are and have always been such a bright light in our lives, and we feel so lucky to be your parents. We can't wait to see where this journey will take you, and we offer you this blessing for the future. May you continue to follow your heart and have the confidence to make the choices that you know are right.
May you continue to spread your gift of kindness throughout your life, bringing happiness and joy to others, and in turn, creating your own happiness.
May you remember this meaningful day, surrounded by people who love you, and feel that love guiding you along your future path. We love you.
Beautiful. Brothers, come on up. Join us. Friends, we're going to rise for Elenu on page 40 as Jared and his family ascend and open the ark together.
Right up here. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'atid gidula liotzer bereshit, shelo asaru kigoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vigor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umudim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'nemar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, Vayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo,
Close the ark together. Family, join me on the Amud. Everyone can be seated. We're getting ready to begin to conclude our service with the Mourner's Kaddish, which you'll find on page 41. Here we talked about how the Jewish generations are here and they're smiling because of what you're doing. So on this joyous time, it makes sense to bring the name of Michael Glass into this moment so that it raises up what we're doing. The idea is that he has what's called an aliyat hanefesh, an ascent of soul, but also we're flooded with memory of the best type. Believe that he's here, he's smiling because of who you are and the people who got you here. If you are in the Shloshim period of mourning, the first 30 days after a loved one's passing, we invite you to rise now and be recognized. Please remain standing. If you're in the first year of mourning a loved one's passing, we invite you to rise now and be recognized. Please remain standing. If you are commemorating the yahrzeit, the death anniversary of a loved one's passing this Shabbat, we ask you to rise now and be recognized. And if it is your custom to rise in solidarity or for the 6 million who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we invite you to do so now. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 41. Yit Gadal, v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'yomad yivrach yurteh, v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayeh dechol Beit Yisrael, v'galav v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. Vita Adar, Vita La, Vita La, Shmei de Kucha, Barichu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'charta v'nechamata, Damiram be'oma v'imru, Amen. Yehi Shlam Araba min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Hosei Shalom b'imru mav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen.
Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Cats family, come right over here. We have a Kiddush cup for you. Okay, Jared. Family. There you go. We are going to sanctify the day with Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. Taking it
L'chaim
straight.
l'bracha. Okay. And the brothers, you will hold our challah. You can hold it all together, all three of you.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Take a bite. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Yehelanu, 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 Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael.
Mazel tov, everybody. Shabbat shalom. We'll ask everybody to go to the reception out the side door, not the middle door. The side door, please. Thanks, everyone.